Good morning and welcome to today's webinar, Smarter Enterprise Class Backup Storage with ARTESCA plus Veeam. Thank you for attending this. We're very excited to talk to you this morning. Today's panel includes the presenters Thomas Danan, who's a Senior Product Director for ARTESCA at Scality. We've got Kevin Ridings, Senior Business Solutions Architect at Veeam, and I'll be the host. I'm Rob Autumn from Technical Marketing at Scality. The agenda today, we'd like to cover ARTESCA and the value that that can bring to Veeam. What is ARTESCA plus Veeam? Some of the benefits of Veeam version 13, Kevin will touch on that. We'll also talk about the high availability and enterprise class features that are coming in the product. We'll have some Q&A and then we'll have close. If you want to ask questions throughout the webinar at any point, please feel free to type them into the box and we'll either respond or we'll save them for the panelists at the end. So without further ado, it's over to Thomas.
Thank you very much, Rob, and hello everyone. Very happy to be here and to present our product and solutions. So I will first talk about our ARTESCA product to explain a bit about the architecture and how we use it in combination with Veeam. So ARTESCA is a software-defined appliance which is using the cloud-native technologies. So ARTESCA is made of harden operating system. It's composed of a Kubernetes cluster, and on top of it, we are running all the different services to provide S3 compatible storage interfaces that can be integrated with the different Veeam application. But more than being perfect, a great object storage, we position ourselves as being the perfect storage companion for the Veeam applications. And I'm going to explain why. So first, it's ultra secured. We are embed the operating system, we harden it, we set in place some firewalling rules in order to increase the security. There is no root access, all these kind of things. Plus, we are leveraging our own Azure coding technology in order to bring ultra resilient functionalities to protect your data. So ARTESCA can be deployed on a single node cluster, or it can be a 6-node cluster. And depending on the architecture, we're going to protect your data locally with some local Azure coding to be resilient against the loss of one or multiple drives, or across the network when you deploy a multi-node cluster to be resilient against the loss of one single node. ARTESCA is also, it was developed in 2022, and it was designed with the idea of making it super simple for our end users. So all of the operations, you can operate it directly from the UI. The installation is very simple. We have a network of partners doing it for you that are trained. So it's very easy to deploy and to operate. It starts from a single node on very simple machines. It can be even a tower type of machine having 10 terabytes of usable capacity. So you don't even need to have a data center to host our product on some very small servers. And it can scale up to 10 petabytes, which also help us to address some of the enterprise requirements. As I was saying at the beginning, ARTESCA is a S3 compatible object storage. Obviously, we implement all the key APIs that are required by the Veeam applications, including the one providing immutability of your backups, so namely the object lock APIs. The good thing also about ARTESCA is the fact that it can be used to host many different types of backups. It could be the backups coming from the Veeam backup and replication application, but it can also be the backup coming from Veeam backup for Office 365, or even the backup coming from Kasten. And that's really cool because if the organization or our customers, they are in a situation where they need or where they have a very heterogeneous environment with some virtualized environment, with some bare metal servers, with some containerized application, with some mail and office services in the cloud, all of this can be protected and back up on the same appliance, on the same setup. So it will help you to reduce the number of systems you use to protect your data. But even more than that, with ARTESCA, we want to be we want to focus on what matters the most for the end user, and we introduced in ARTESCA the concept of connectors. So the connectors is a set of different assets, such as documentation on how to integrate with the Veeam application, such as best practices to optimize the performances, such as guaranteed performance number when you use ARTESCA as a performance tier or as a capacity tier. And even more than that, we have, as you can see on the right, an assistant, we call it the Veeam assistant, that will, in the end, automate the configuration of ARTESCA for you. So you don't even need to know about what is S3, how to integrate it the right way with Veeam, because with our assistant, you just enter an account name, a bucket name, the capacity you want to allocate, and if this bucket is immutable or not, and we will do all automatically for you. We will configure all the ARTESCA product according to the best practices of Veeam. Two last things is we introduced this year a new application which is named Maestro. Maestro is an application that you can use to monitor and to operate a fleet of ARTESCAs. We're talking about hundreds or thousands of ARTESCA. You can see it more or less like the Veeam service provider console if you are a service provider today. And all this ARTESCA can be integrated to this Maestro application, so that if you have hundreds of ARTESCA, you can see all of them in a single pane of glass, in a single UI, and operate it massively from this UI. And last but not least, this year we also introduced a cyber guarantee in order to bring more confidence in our product, because we have never been attacked or compromised. The data has always been protected so far, so it made us confident to introduce this cyber guarantee. And Rob, maybe you want to say a few words about it?
Yeah, so thanks for that, Thomas. So yeah, like Thomas says, we have the utmost confidence in ARTESCA. It's never been hacked. We're confident in all the architecture and all the resilience we've got in place within the system. So because of that, we're going to stand by that, and we've introduced the ARTESCA cyber guarantee earlier this year. So basically, the whole point is, if your system gets hacked, we'll give you $100,000. We're so confident that this is not going to happen that we're going to make the process super easy. So we're not hiding behind support contracts. We're not hiding behind really complicated criteria or contracts. It's simple. If you get hacked and you're on the latest version of ARTESCA, you keep the software up to date, and you're using S3 Object Lock, we will pay you that $100,000. And this is because of all the security we've got built in. So like we say, we've got Core 5 cyber resilience, which at every single architecture layer within ARTESCA guarantees cyber resilience and protection against ransomware. Back to you, Thomas.
Thank you, Rob. So this product is also the results. ARTESCA product is also the results of a great collaboration we have with Veeam in building the best storage companion for the Veeam application. And last year we initiated a new project with the Veeam Product Alliance to have an ARTESCA plus Veeam unified software appliance. So the goal of this project, that is available since last year, is to have on the same server both the ARTESCA product and the Veeam backup and replication product, so that we can have all-in-one single node vault that is protecting your data. So how we do this? I was saying at the beginning that ARTESCA is made or was designed using the cloud native technologies. So again, you can see on the chart, on the diagram, that we have this hardened operating system that is deployed by default, more or less like the operating system you have in the Veeam software appliance. On top of it, we have a Kubernetes cluster that is running and scheduling all the different microservices. You can see on the right our microservices to provide the S3 compatible interface and to store the data with our Azure coding mechanism. And on the left, we are now embedding the KubeVirt hypervisor, on which we are deploying the Veeam virtual machine. And within this Veeam virtual machine, you can use the VBR server. You can use, if you want, the VBR proxy and the VBR gateway. So in the end, this architecture is bringing a lot more security because our S3 endpoint is not exposed to the outside. It doesn't need to be resolved by an external DNS, which is often a source of attack when someone is trying to compromise your infrastructure. And the credentials that are used by Veeam in order to integrate with ARTESCA, they don't leave the box. They stay within the box and they don't need to be shared to the outside. Obviously, it brings some cost benefits because you don't need to provision some resources for Veeam to be on an external server or even to be on the production environment. By the way, this solution helps you to have the Veeam backup and replication solution directly on an external server and not running on the production environment. And it's not just about deploying a virtual machine on KubeVirt. We are adding a lot of other functionalities on top of it to bring better user experience, to bring automation, to bring all of this. So that's what I like to show you through a small video on how we do this today. So this is a video on how you would deploy the Veeam software appliance after ARTESCA is installed. So you can log into the OS console as ARTESCA OS. You cannot log as root anyway, so only this user is allowed. You just have to set an IP for the Veeam backup and replication virtual machine and the path of the Veeam software appliance ISO. And you run this command that will deploy the VM, that will configure the VM, that will deploy the root certificate of ARTESCA and provision the Veeam admin user and the Veeam security officer. You can see that you have a default password and you have a recovery token for the Veeam security officer, and you have the URL to access the different web UI of Veeam. So let's go into one of those web UI. We're going to use the VBR web UI and use the Veeam admin user that was provisioned to log in. This will happen in just a few seconds now. So we log into the web UI of Veeam just after the installation using the default password. We have the usual message the same way you would have it when you deploy on any other type of environments. Obviously, to start using it, we need to deploy a license file. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to click on the configuration button on the top right in order to import a license file. I'm doing it right now, looking at the license file on my server and import it. Once the license file is imported, the first thing that the Veeam software appliance will do is to check for any security updates or any updates. So you can see that when the VSA is deployed on ARTESCA, the updates are running, the Veeam virtual machine is restarted after the update, and you have access to the great new dashboard of Veeam. So once Veeam is installed and deployed on our ARTESCA plus Veeam Unified software appliance, we can log into the ARTESCA UI, and I will show you how easy it is to do the final integration. So first, you will be directly guided through our Veeam assistant that I was talking about earlier. The only thing you have to do is to fill in with a specific account name. So I don't remember what I put as an account name here. It's just ARTESCA plus demos, right? You just need to give also a bucket name that will be used to provision the S3 compatible repository on the Veeam side. You give a certain capacity for this repository. You say if this repository should be immutable or not. And now we also have the ability to automatically create this Veeam repository from our ARTESCA UI. So you can see that our Veeam assistant will automate the configuration of everything on ARTESCA, creating all the S3 resources that you don't even need to know. But the very last step is to create the Veeam repository, leveraging the Veeam API that are available on the Veeam software appliance. So in the end, you don't even see any credentials because all of this was configured in the background. And the cool thing also is you don't even need the Windows-based console to configure your repository because we did it in the background through the API. And you can see that on the web UI, your repository is here, is ready to be used to start backupping new jobs on this repository. And you can see on the label that it was created by our Veeam assistant, by our automation tooling. So you can see how with our unified appliance, Not only we offer a way to have Veeam and ARTESCA in the same box, but we also offer you with functionalities, automation that are making the full installation and configuration super easy and super automated. So let's come back on the other benefits. This is what we released last year. It can be deployed on a single node appliance, supporting up to 500 terabyte util capacity. So it starts at 10 terabyte, but can go up to 500 terabyte. This is to host the Veeam backup and replication jobs and backups. But as I was saying before, you can also open the S3 endpoint to the outside to integrate it with Cas10 or the Office 365 backups. So with this all-in-one Vault appliance for Veeam backup and replication, you can also use it to have Cas10 backup or Office 365 backup on the same appliance. It works with VBR 12, it was released last year, and also with VBR 13, and it works for the Windows version and also for the Veeam software appliance version. And as for the standard ARTESCA solution flavor, you can integrate it with the Maestro application to monitor a fleet of ARTESCA or a fleet of ARTESCA plus Veeam unified software appliance. What do you think, Kevin?
I think it's obviously a great set of features. And I also think that the combination of all the capabilities of Veeam and the capabilities of ARTESCA are obviously a fantastic grouping. But I wanted to go through some of the highlights of Veeam v13. As you're mentioning, it's one of the supported options with what we're talking about here. So if I start on the left-hand side and talk about some of the security enhancements, well, you've already mentioned one, the Veeam software appliance, which is one of the options, really easy to configure, super quick, and very secure by default. We've also enhanced the role-based access control. So in larger environments, you're going to be wanting to control perhaps a set of admins to only be able to recover certain objects, certain parts of an environment. We've got that covered with the new enhancements to RBAC. But in enterprise, you really want the enterprise security features. So we have SAML for single sign-on. So if you're using enterprise identity providers, multi-factor authentication, that can come to the console as well. But also we've increased some of the resiliency and some of the operational enhancements. I'm going to come back to high availability in a few moments, but instant recovery to Azure can really potentially help maybe with a migration. But having the ability in the event of a disaster to be able to very quickly, or maybe even not a disaster, you wanting to burst perhaps into Azure, you've got that instant recovery to Azure. And we've already seen great demo by Thomas, the modern web UI. Very simple to use, great feel for the other products if you're familiar with other Veeam portfolio products, bringing that commonality. And then that brings me on to the AI-powered intelligence part. So that really helps you have a true human language interaction with Veeam, whether you're wanting to understand some anomalies, you're getting a lot of ransomware alerts on a particular workload, you can ask it to tell you more. You're wanting some reports from the environment, you can just have a human conversation and you will be delivered the reports that you're asking for. But high availability, and I think that's really key into what we're going to be looking at in a few moments. I mean, for years, enterprises have done the right thing when it comes to backup. Multiple copies, immutability, offsite retention, but there's been a gap really. While the backup storage, and as you've seen from Thomas's demonstration, the backup storage has become resilient, but the backup platform itself perhaps was lagging behind, and that's what's changing with v13 and ARTESCA. And it isn't just another integration, it's not a new certification, it's a shift in how the backup software and the backup storage work together. Instead of stitching components together, we have tightly integrated a validated platform, secure by design, simpler to operate, and built for the real world enterprise resilience. But the real inflection point really for enterprise customers is the high availability that we have there in the center section here. So with Veeam v13, high availability extends beyond the storage into the backup control plane itself. And that means that the backup server is no longer a single point of failure. Backup operations can continue through failures, through maintenance, and through any particular incident. And that's exactly what enterprises expect from a tier 1 application. And we do this without changing architecture, without increasing operational complexity, and without compromising security. So when we say smarter enterprise class backup storage, we're not just talking about capacity, we're not just talking about performance, we are talking about resilience. And that's across the entire stack: storage, software, and operations. Because that allows organizations to move from simply having backups to having confidence that they can recover. And I think that's just a great set of features. High availability really is an interesting one for me. And now Thomas is going to take us through how that's going to be utilized and how that's going to work in a upcoming release.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Yes, indeed, the journey never stops. Maybe before talking about high availability, I'd like to just give you a quick view on our unified dashboard that we have in the unified software appliance. You can see here the ARTESCA UI that will be released. I mean, the new dashboard that will be available very soon, where we can easily see the different S3 compatible repos. But interestingly, we also have the vitals of Veeam in this dashboard. Typically, we can see the number of VMs or the number of workloads that are backing up data on our appliance. We can see the size of the protected instances on the production environment and the size it takes on our appliance thanks to the compression that Veeam is doing. And we can see the status of the different jobs. So just in one eye, we have a view on the key vitals of Veeam in this UI. And if you want to know more, if you want to have more precise dashboards, because there are a lot of new dashboards available in Veeam or in Veeam 1, you can use our Veeam Host Manager or Veeam Dashboards button that you have in the UI that will directly help you to navigate to those web UI. So this is how we integrate. Again, I was saying it's not just a matter of deploying our VM on an hypervisor. It's a matter also of bringing integration features that makes the full solution easy to operate and more simple to operate. On the right, you can see that if you were to create new repository, we can easily create new repository using our assistant that will automate the full configuration as was explained in the last demo. But let's talk about what we are doing now and what will be available in just a few weeks or months in June, is how we extend this single node unified software appliance to a multi-node unified software appliance, embedding both ARTESCA and Veeam and leveraging the new high availability features that Kevin was just talking about a few minutes ago. So this new solution, you will be able to deploy it on a 3-node or a 6-node architecture. And thanks to the combination of our erasure coding for the data, for protecting the data, and of the high availability feature of Veeam, you will have an end-to-end, highly available backup and storage solution being deployed on the 3 or 6 nodes cluster. So this can be used using hybrid hardware or even full flash hardware if you want to have ultra high restore performances available out of this appliance. Thanks to the fact that we are using several nodes. Before, for the single node unified appliance, the limit was 500 terabytes, but now the limit will be 10 petabytes, addressing a lot of enterprise customer requirements. And here again, we bring some new additional features, not only to have the VSA deployed in a highly available way, but also to have some automation out of it for configuring the high availability and for, you will see, monitoring and potentially triggering the failover. So I have if you maybe can go to the next slide, Rob. or yeah, it's directly the demo. I have a little demo showing what we are adding to the unified appliance that Rob will display in a few seconds. So this is the current unified dashboard. You can see on the top right that we are integrated with version 13.0.1. We can see that there is no job activity at the moment, only nothing is running, but we can see the history of the backup jobs, whether they were failed or successful. So now when we go into the Windows-based console, you can see that we have two VSA which are deployed on two of the servers of our unified appliance. We can see that one is primary and the other one is secondary. And thanks to the new features that are available in the Veeam Software Appliance version 13, I can trigger a switchover from one VSA to the other. So it's typically what you would do when planning for a maintenance operation. You want to ensure service continuity. So before updating the firmwares or the different things on one single node, you will first switch over to the other nodes. So this operation usually takes around 3 minutes. And after the failover is done, you will see that VSA2 is now the primary, VSA1 is now the secondary, and all of this is running within our unified software appliance. But we are going beyond that. And actually, in our unified software appliance, we are embedding a new component that will monitor the health of the Veeam cluster. So you can see that's the logs that we would see in these components, showing that it's detecting the secondary Veeam software appliance on IP 172, and also detecting the primary software appliance on IP 173, which is VBR2 in this case, actually. So we are monitoring the health, and if they were to have a failure, for example, which is happening here on the screen, we would detect it. And because we detect it, we can trigger a failover automatically to the secondary VSA. So with this, you don't have to be in front of your Windows-based console to trigger the failover. Our component will monitor and do the failover for you. So after 3 minutes or so, the failover is done. Now the service is restored on the secondary Veeam software appliance. And if we go back into the Windows-based console, we will see the same results into the UI. So that's a great also automation or monitoring tool that we are adding to the unified software appliance to ensure service continuity. I heard recently that that's also something that will be available through Veeam One. But if you were not to have Veeam One, we would provide also this automation tooling as part of the unified software appliance. So as Kevin was saying, we really think that this new flavor of ARTESCA and Veeam is a great new offering for the enterprise organization looking for both high capacity and the key enterprise features such as high availability. Kevin, do you think we are missing something in this appliance, or we should focus on some other enterprise features that are very important?
Well, I think it's a great set of features, and the whole no touch, the you monitoring the high availability piece, absolutely fantastic. It is going to really produce something really good for the enterprise. Now, something I've heard at conferences and in a number of sessions recently is the concept of a clean room, and lots of people are talking about clean room recovery and clean room functionality. What I haven't seen them do yet is actually explain and show the architecture of what they mean by a clean room. It's as if one of the new terms, clean room, everyone must have a clean room, but they don't really go on to describe what that looks like. And I guess, Thomas, you're about to tell us what that means from a Veeam and ARTESCA point of view.
Indeed, that's true. That when we are discussing with partners, with prospects and customers, that's something that comes very often on the table. Different needs that they are expressing, the fact that they want to have a clean room, as you just said. Often they had the concept of air gapped. They want this clean room or disaster recovery room to be disconnected from the internet and to be in a fully closed environment. Some are telling us that they would like this a secondary copy of their Veeam backup, which is not known by Veeam, because they think that if Veeam is compromised, potentially the first copy, but also the secondary copy would be compromised if Veeam is managing the replication. Some other customers, they are asking us, can we resume the backup workloads from the disaster recovery site? So today, when Veeam is doing the replication, we have a secondary copy on the disaster recovery site. We can rehydrate the production environment, restore the data from this disaster recovery site, but we cannot resume the backups. We would have to do first a full backup before being able to resume. Some others, they are telling us that configuring the replication from Veeam, it's more operation, more configuration operation, so also a source potentially of errors, but it's also Veeam doing more operation and requiring more resources to generate this secondary copy, while they would like Veeam to be as light as possible in doing the backup from the production environments. We also have some customers asking us to replicate the first copy to multiple disaster recovery sites, especially in the time being where we have a very complicated situation in some countries. Some people, they really want to have a even better protection than only 2 copies. And yeah, last one is some people, they are looking at active architecture, where they could write both on 2 different. They could back up 2 production environments in parallel and have them replicated together. So it's something that we heard a lot in the last year, and that's why we decided to invest in a new functionality that will be available, I hope, this year in ARTESCA, where actually we would have an ARTESCA on a disaster recovery that will be able to synchronize the data from the ARTESCA on the primary repository. So what you can see on the screen as a diagram, you can see your production environment on the left. You can see DC1 as being your primary data center, I would say, where the Veeam backup and replication is going to protect your production environment and store the backup in ARTESCA using the S3 compatible API, using the immutability through object lock and all those things. And we have on the right secondary site, which is the disaster recovery site, from where we have another ARTESCA that will come periodically, synchronize the data from the first site. And outside of this synchronization period, we will be able to make this secondary site offline, disconnected from the entire network. And what is going to be synchronized is both the backup generated by Veeam, but also the Veeam configuration, because you know that the Veeam configuration can be offloaded to an object storage. That's what we're doing very often. So this Veeam configuration will also be available on the DR site. So with this functionality, we're going to have a secondary copy that is entirely built by ARTESCA. We're going to have the ability, because it's a complete mirror between the 2 ARTESCA, so we have the exact same objects, we have the exact same version IDs, we have the exact same metadata, we even have the exact same Veeam configuration because it's stored on ARTESCA, so we can easily ask to re-import this configuration in a specific Veeam that would be on this disaster recovery site. And with that, we can also resume the backup workload from this disaster recovery site without having to do first a full backup to restart the workloads. As you can see, the Veeam and ARTESCA that are on the primary side, they don't even know about a secondary copy exists somewhere else. So it brings a great additional security to the entire architecture. Because we are taking care of the replication, of the synchronization in this case, there is nothing to do in Veeam. The only thing to configure in Veeam is where you want to back up your primary copy, and all the rest is done in the background by the ARTESCA software, by the object storage solution. And yeah, as I was saying, outside of the synchronization run, the secondary site can be offline, can be air-gapped. And we are currently discussing also if there are some integration capabilities with the Veeam Recovery Orchestrator to potentially, because once the data are synchronized on the disaster recovery side, that's also where you will potentially start some backup analysis, some short backup analysis to make sure that everything that is stored on this disaster recovery site is clean and can be used to restore your data. And by doing this, you're also ensuring that everything that is on the primary site is clean and can be restored at any time without putting pressure on the primary site. So leaving all the resource available for doing the primary backup, which is your main point of concern when protecting your environment. And the beauty of that, if you can go to the next slide, Rob, is because everything is managed by ARTESCA, it doesn't depend on the application, the client application itself. So in the end, you can have Veeam Backup and Replication, Veeam Backup for Office 365, and Veeam Custom doing their first copy, their first backup on the primary ARTESCA. Our mechanism will synchronize everything on the disaster recovery. And from there, you can rehydrate, you can resume your backups for both your virtualized environment, your containerized environment, your Office 365 resources. Everything is available on the disaster recovery side without any need to integrate with the different Veeam client applications. So that's our focus this year. That's what we are aiming to deliver as soon as possible this year. And we are very keen on getting your feedbacks and on this type of features. I'm pretty sure that's something that will also help in your requirements when it comes to enterprise organizations. Hey, Kevin, do you think we are going in the right direction?
Absolutely. As I've said a number of times, the combination of features really does, deliver a truly resilient stack of services to the enterprise. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to the release and to see how customers are going to leverage this.
Yeah, so thank you both. It's really cool. I really enjoy seeing the synergy between the two products. So high availability is definitely coming to the backup service, and both of these products integrate that very, very well, actually, at the appliance sort of level. So thank you very much for your engagement. We've got a few questions to go through. We've got a question that asks, on the ARTESCA plus Veeam appliance, is it possible to run other application VMs? Maybe that's for you, Thomas.
So technically speaking, I would say yes. We had a lot of requests for example, being able to run a Veeam backup and replication, but also the Veeam backup for Office 365 VM on the same appliance. Some other are telling us why not also running Veeam 1 on this appliance. So we have the right technical stack because of the KubeVirt hypervisor. We can spawn whatever VM we want on the system. The only difficulty is, I would say, the sizing, because we provide to our partners pre-configured hardware configuration with the right sizing to host Veeam backup and replication. And adding another VM is just a matter of reviewing this sizing to account for what this VM will consume in terms of resources. So it is, again, that's possible. It's just, I mean, I'm very keen on getting those type of requirements and what do you want to do, so that I can work on providing to you and to the partners the right solution to do it. But yeah, possible, and happy to work on it.
Yeah, it's great to hear.
Just to add to that, if I may, we often get asked about adding additional services to appliances and etc. And sizing, very important, but also hardening. You mentioned adding Veeam 1, that's great, that would be something fantastic. But if it was to be other services, other applications, you're changing the hardening of the device and opening up potential vulnerabilities, I guess, depending on what that application would be or service added. But I just wanted to add that that's what we see in the marketplace. People ask, can we put anything on there? Well, technically yes, but hardening is something you would certainly want to consider.
Yeah, it's super important to protect that service, whether it be through hardening and through having the correct hardware sizing there to provide that service and keep that running. Okay, we've got another question here. So I think this is for Thomas. So do we need to bring our own Veeam license with ARTESCA?
So the answer is yes. What we do provide is a solution that helps partners or end customers to build this appliance on a single hardware. But yes, you need to provide your license, your Veeam license, and also to download the Veeam software appliance on our appliance before deploying it.
Okay, thank you. We've got another one here, probably for Kevin. We want to move away from VMware. Can Veeam help with platform migration?
Absolutely, and that's something that's becoming more common. Once if we keep the conversation just VBR centric here, once we've protected a particular workload and it's in a repository, it's in a portable mobile data format, and we have lots of, I mentioned one of the new features, instant recovery to Azure, could help with migrating to Azure, but recovering to alternate hypervisors, absolutely, we can take care of that. So and it's always important in migration to protect before you even touch it. So even before you think about moving it, you would want to protect it. So yes, we can certainly help with migrating away from a particular hypervisor.
Great, thank you. That's good to hear. Another question is here, and I think this is definitely for Thomas, given the future features that you discussed. In the clean room scenario, how is consistency of backup files and Veeam app servers ensured during the scheduled sync from DC1 to DC2, as it's done outside of Veeam?
So what may happen is indeed that a few blocks are not synchronized at the time you want to use it, but because data, they are immutable and they are version, there is always a reliable backup chain available on the appliance. So it's maybe not the very last one that was generated, but we can always come back to a reliable one just one day before or a few hours before the beginning on the scheduling that was put in place.
Okay, great. So that's all the questions we have. I'm just going to have a quick summary. If there's any more questions in the meantime, please feel free to reach out. But yeah, just in summary, so today we've heard about ARTESCA and Veeam sort of coming together to deliver a simple, secure, best-of-breed enterprise-class backup storage appliance. And this can strengthen cyber resilience with features like object lock, immutability, and of course this simplicity at scale message. So I hope you saw from those videos that Thomas showed how simple it is to run and operate ARTESCA plus Veeam. Kevin mentioned some of the Veeam 13 features and how this supports modern data protection, and we saw some of the exciting enterprise class features coming up with HA, multi-node, and all these clean room scenarios. To bring the webinar to a close, don't take our word for it. So we actually sent an ARTESCA plus Veeam software appliance to storage review, and Kevin Beeler and his team there spent quite a lot of time analyzing it, setting it up, running it, and they've got some great things to say about it. So, you know, some things that we've heard today, like the S3 path never leaves the appliance, so that demonstrates the security, that they got a working repository within minutes, and that basically it does what it says on the tin. So, you know, we said it's up and running and it's secure, and they proved all that. So if you want to see that report, feel free to scan this QR code here or have a look at scality.com storage review report. So there's no more questions coming. So all that's left is for me to thank all our attendees and to thank the panel. And please feel free to check out the Veeam and the Scality websites for more information. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Cheers.